The history of the United Kingdom dates back to ancient times, well before it became the global superpower we recognize today. It was not always a unified entity, but a region home to various Celtic tribes. These tribes, like the Britons, the Scots, and the Welsh, lived on the island of Great Britain and Ireland, each with its own unique culture and governance. It was the Romans who first invaded and made Britain part of their empire in 43 AD, transforming the landscape with roads, baths, and fortresses. This was a significant turning point as the Romans introduced advanced infrastructure and began shaping the island into a key territory in the Roman Empire. However, their rule eventually faded in the 5th century as the Roman Empire crumbled. After the Romans departed, waves of Germanic tribes, including the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, began settling in Britain. Over time, they formed kingdoms such as Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria, and the foundations of England as we know it were laid. This period also marked the Christianization of the British Isles, with missionaries like St. Augustine bringing Christianity from Rome in 597 AD. Anglo-Saxon England would flourish, but tensions would soon rise with the Viking invasions beginning in the 8th century. The Vikings, hailing from Scandinavia, were infamous for their raids along the coasts of Europe, and the British Isles were no exception. The Viking invasions from the 8th to the 11th century would shape much of the UK's early history. They initially raided monasteries, but later began to settle, establishing the Kingdom of Danelaw in the north and east of England. Their most notable conquest came in 1066 when William the Conqueror, the Duke of Normandy, invaded England. The Battle of Hastings was fought between William and King Harold II, leading to a decisive victory for the Normans. The result of the Norman Conquest was the introduction of feudalism to England, with the crown holding supreme power over land and nobility, and it also led to the construction of iconic castles throughout the country. By the 12th century, the Plantagenets ruled England. This period saw the establishment of common law, the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215, and the growth of Parliament. The Magna Carta, forced upon King John, was a defining moment in the history of constitutional law, as it limited the powers of the monarchy and laid the groundwork for the idea of due process and individual rights. The 15th century was marked by the Wars of the Roses, a series of civil wars between the houses of Lancaster and York. These conflicts ultimately led to the rise of the Tudor dynasty. The reign of Henry VIII, 1509-1547, is particularly famous for his break from the Roman Catholic Church, which led to the English Reformation. This was followed by the reign of Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, whose leadership helped to defeat the Spanish Armada in 1588, solidifying England's naval dominance. The 17th century was a time of intense political and religious conflict. Tensions between the monarchy and Parliament reached a boiling point, leading to the English Civil War, 1642-1651. King Charles I's refusal to accept parliamentary authority resulted in a clash with Parliament, which led to his eventual execution in 1649. After a brief experiment with a Republican government under Oliver Cromwell, the monarchy was restored in 1660 with Charles II. The century also saw the Glorious Revolution of 1688, which deposed King James II in favor of William III and Mary II. The Glorious Revolution cemented the supremacy of Parliament over the monarchy, establishing constitutional monarchy as the political system of England. The 18th and 19th centuries were defined by the Industrial Revolution, which began in Great Britain and transformed the country from a primarily agrarian society to a leading industrial power. Advances in technology, transportation, especially the steam engine, and manufacturing helped create wealth and revolutionized society. This period also saw the expansion of the British Empire, which by the late 19th century controlled vast territories across the globe. The British Empire was the largest empire in history, covering a quarter of the world's land and ruling over 400 million people. At its height, the British Empire included countries in Africa, Asia, the Americas, and the Pacific, creating a complex system of trade, politics, and cultural exchange. British culture, language, and influence spread across the world, leaving a lasting impact on many of its former colonies. The Victorian era, under the rule of Queen Victoria, 1837-1901, is often regarded as a time of great progress, but also of stark social contrasts. While Britain was at the height of its global power, the benefits of industrialization were not equally shared, leading to harsh working conditions for the urban poor. The Victorian period saw the rise of social reform, movements aimed at addressing poverty, child labor, and workers' rights. The British government passed several significant reforms during this period, including laws to improve public health and education. Britain also underwent a transformation in its imperial strategy, with growing debates about the ethics of empire and the treatment of indigenous populations in its colonies. By the early 20th century, these concerns, along with the strains of World War I, began to challenge Britain's dominance on the world stage. The early 20th century was a turbulent time for the United Kingdom. Britain played a major role in both World War I and World War II. World War I, while devastating, led to the eventual disintegration of many of the empires in Europe, including the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, and German empires.